Okay, so let's just, it's been a while, so let's just summarize, right? So we're still kind of in the middle discussing of the two different hanhagas, right? Two different approaches to guiding the world, right? One is called hanhagas hamishpat, right? Justice, reward and punishment, which originates from Hashem's Heilam Tuvoy, meaning Hashem kind of concealed some of His goodness in order to create for the possibility of Ra. And as a result of the creation for the possibility of Ra, He creates the possibility of reward and punishment. That's Hanhagas HaMishpat. At the same time, there's another Hanhaga called Hanhagas HaShlita B'Hamshala, right? Hashem's control, total control, which comes from Hashem's goodness, right? Which comes from Hashem's goodness. And technically, that Midah will be fully revealed only in the future. But what Ramchal was Mechadesh, that Midah is ever present behind the scenes, and it's working within the Hanhagas HaMishpat. So the Pnimius, the internal of Hanhagas HaMishpat is in a hidden way, in a Nister type of a way, is Hanhagas Tuvoy, which is Hanhagas HaMamshal. Now the big chiddush for me was that Ramchal is telling us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's goodness, perfection, is completely detached from mishpat, from justice. It's on His level of shleimus. Shleimus, the nature of shleimus, is to complete all imperfections. So therefore, sin, no sin, it doesn't make a difference. Hashem's shleimus is untouched by any sort of sin, and therefore, technically, it would seem that anytime HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides to reveal this completeness, this perfection, then the whole game just seems to fall away, right? So on one hand, we have the game of mishpat, so to speak. On the other hand, the whole game of mishpat is going to fall away. Not only is it going to fall away, it's going to fall away in such a way that it comes from within the game, right? So how could those two things kind of coexist? Furthermore, when we learned Mesilas Yesharim, he told us very clearly that Hashem is not a vatran, right? That comes in the Gemara, that Hashem doesn't just say it's okay, it's all right, doesn't matter, right? Taking away Hashem's justice is not necessarily a show of perfection. It's actually a show of imperfection. Justice is good. Justice is truth. Justice is fairness. Justice is all of these good things. So how do we say that that this justice just falls away? So what we said last time, and I'm just reiterating, what we were saying is that somehow both of these things will coexist. That somehow everything that we will get from HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this time of perfection, again, this is my understanding, everything that we'll get in this time of perfection will be justice, right? Will be justice. It will not be just like total suspension of anything. But at the same time, we will be able to see that justice is still just, so to speak, like a game. Again, maybe if I can give a mashal, meaning, let's say, again, you father has an inheritance for a son that's $100 billion. Okay. He knows he's going to inherit. He's going to inherit it anyways, but he doesn't want to inherit it just like that because he doesn't want to be. So he says, okay, listen, if he gives him an assignment, something that's like really basic, something that he knows he can accomplish. If you really get an assignment, go to such and such place, deliver this letter. If you deliver this letter, this mission is so important for me. Fine, you'll be worthy of this inheritance, right? Okay. So meanwhile, that's the idea. The idea is that kafi, that in accordance with the reward, so to speak, that we're going to get the connection to Hashem, the kind of closeness and the kind of infinity that Hashem is giving us, any sort of effort on our part is minute. It's nothing. It's really nothing. So it's like he told us, okay, here, just pass me the ball, so to speak. Just do something. Okay, so he told his son to go and drop off this package in order to get the $100 billion inheritance. And meanwhile, on the way, the son, stopped off at a bar and I got a few drinks and got lost on the way and didn't yet deliver the package, right? Mm-hmm. So this is when, on the other hand, maybe, again, I'm saying now, Hashem's anger, so to speak, really flares up in a sense that I gave you like a nothing assignment. Mm-hmm. Just to let you be zoiche to this incredible, gift, and you messed it up, and you still messed it up. Like what's going on, right? Right. So again, so maybe as a result, so it's not that. So in a certain sense, what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to say, perhaps again, I'm thinking out loud, but in a certain sense, what we are expected to accomplish is nothing, is little bit, but at the same time, it kind of puts an additional pressure on the things that when we mess up, on the times that we actually mess up, they're on those little things that we could have really accomplished, and there's additional pressure for those things, and perhaps then it kind of triggers a certain cleansing cycle that has to occur, and that cleansing cycle can possibly come with very severe, procedures. Mm-hmm. Because once you gave somebody such an easy job to do and he messed it up, so that it kind of comes with certain additional strings attached. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm trying to say. So in other words, but when the time comes, and let's look at an example of Yetzias Mitzrayim, right? So they were supposed to be there for 400 years, okay, but they didn't change their names and they didn't change their clothing, okay, and at some point they expressed their pain from suffering in such a way that Hashem said, okay, fine, that's good enough. I'll count that as prayer. I'll count 210 years from, 400 years from the birth of Yitzchak. I'll figure out every possible way to say, okay, you guys were yotzei all the suffering, that was supposed to happen, and let's do this, right? Let's do Yetzias Mitzrayim. So in a certain sense, it's something along those lines. Okay, fine. So fine. So in the future, when all this is revealed, he told us we're going to be able to see in everything that happened this hidden thing, right? So in other words, this hidden aspect of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's plan, right? That's playing behind the scenes. Again, just to speak out something that we already spoke out, just the beauty of Ramchal here is that he took something very simple, Gamzu L'Toiva, very frum saying that people say Gamzu L'Toiva, which seems like, okay, it's a nice thing to say, okay, everything Hashem does is for the good. He made it an essential, fundamental concept in the whole of, the whole creation. So Gamzu L'Toiva, it's not just like a nice frum thing that a person says, to appreciate Hashem. It is the very nature of what the whole plan is, right? So, right, he took a little thing and he made it into an essential element of the whole master plan. Okay. So, anyways, so when it comes to Revelation, we're going to be able to look back and we will be able to see in every action the hidden thing that was playing behind the scenes. And then he told us this is the last thing he said, that even though we're going to be able to see the revealed and the hidden, but there's so much more hidden on the level of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we'll never figure it out. Okay, so now let's come. Now Neshama says in 55, that's what we're up to. Neshama says, Tichlal gam ha'inyan hazeh. So why don't you summarize this for me? So let's read summary, Nunvav. Omar HaSeichel, Zeh HaKlal. This is the general rule. Shleimuso Yisborach mitzad atzmoi. So Hashem's perfection from his own perspective, mitzad atzmoi, right? So in other words, we have three categories to think of it. Three categories. We have Hashem's perfection mitzad atzmai. We have Hashem's perfection to the extent that He allowed us to partake of it, and then we have Hanhagas Hamishpat, Hashem's what's the word? I don't want to say imperfection, but Hashem's again Hanhaga. I don't know how to translate Hanhaga. Hashem's not behavior, but Hashem's mode, let's call it modality of mishpat, right? So these three different categories. So when it comes to shleimus is mitzad atzmai, the first category where Hashem is on his own, eina musa klal, we have no connection to that. However, when he wanted to act within the nature of his goodness, but then at least in those actions, in those deeds that are according to our level, lo yoiser, but not more than our level, some eitzois v'gilgulei ha'hanhaga, he inserted eitzois, like plans and sort of manipulations, l'havi kol habriyos el shleimus v'tikun, in order to bring all of the creations to perfection and to rectification. V'zeh hanistor shebechol ha'masav, and this is the hidden element in every action. Tzad hashova shebehen, and it's something that equates all of them. Okay, so he repeats this idea of tzad hashova shebehen a few times. I'm not sure exactly what he wants, but he said there's some kind of a common denominator to all actions, and this common denominator is this, push towards perfection. V'nistoram zeh, and this hidden push, k'tzas min ha'k'tzas mimenu mizgalav v'nikar mitoich ha'masim atzmam, a little bit from this will be revealed from the actions themselves. When Hashem will want to open our eyes. Efes ruboy, however, the majority of it, however, majority of it will be still left way above our ability to understand it, as a result of the depth of his wisdom, which is too wondrous. Okay. That's the summary. Now let's continue. V'hine, behold, tzorich shetedi ki hanhoga hamisyacheses mamash lo ben baruch hu hi hanhogas hashleimus. That you have to understand that the real hanhoga, how do they translate hanhoga? Just give me a good English word for hanhoga.
Force.
Force? No, that's not a good word.
It is important to know that only the force of perfection relates directly to God.
Not great. Let's see here. This one is not numbered. Here. Well, he says the order. Okay, also not great. Okay, he translates as the order. Okay, but okay, fine. Anyways, hanhaga, all right, obviously comes from the word minhag, right, which is the nature of Hashem's policy. Okay, so let's go with policy maybe. V'hine tzarich shetedi, so you should know, ki hanhaga hamisyacheches mamish le'odem baruch hu hi hanhaga samishpat. The policy that connects closer to Hashem is the policy of perfection. Ki hu sholem, because Hashem is perfect. Poil v'hoylech b'shleimusoi, and he continuously acts through his perfection. U'beyois shekvar sider v'som hachukim, but he already arranged various laws, v'hasidorim, and orders, l'mashu yagia el hanivroim, that they should reach the creations, l'fi derech hatov v'ara, in such a way that they should be good and evil. Hine. Now, what do you have? Which word do you have after the word hine? Yachshavu. So over here he has another girsa, that there is another girsa yimshechu. But hine yachshavu told us hachukim v'amidos ehem. So I'm going to translate yachshavu. Hine yachshavu. So then it would be considered that the toldos hachukim v'amidos ehem kedover habom elov. That all of those chukim and midos are also an extension of him. Lefi mash nechkak v'huchan b'chol mida umida. So, I'm not quite sure what he's saying over here. He's saying that even though on one hand we're saying that Hanhagas HaMishpat comes from Hashem's hiding of himself, right? At the end of the day, it still comes from him. It just comes from him indirectly. Okay? So, right? Okay, yeah, that's what he's saying. So he's saying that the Hanhagas HaMishpat, which is a limitation, it's still a limitation that comes from him. Is that what you have in your version?
Nevertheless, as long as the system of reward and punishment needs to operate, its actions are ultimately derived from the influence of the hidden force of perfection itself.
Right.
This is because God's perfection is the source of everything.
Right. Exactly. Right. So again, they're saying that even the hanhaga, right, the policy which comes from Hashem's hiding of Himself, it's still ultimately rooted in Hashem's perfection. Okay? Good?
Right.
Good. So let's see. V'amnam kol zman shehanhagas hatov v'rat tzricha l'shamash. Now he's going to elaborate on this point. Now, that's going to be the key point now. V'amnam kol zman shehanhagas hatov v'rat tzricha l'shamash. So now, throughout the entire time that this policy of good and evil has to serve, mepu'ulas hashleimus atzmoi, from the acts of perfection itself, yimshechu hapu'ulos habois mechukei hatov v'ra. From the attribute of perfection itself will come those aspects of Hashem's tov v'ra, of good and evil. Those actions that stem from the good and the evil. Right? V'zeh ke'al kol ponim mekor hakol hu hashlemus. Because at the end of the day, the source of everything is Hashem's perfection. V'afilu ma shenasa lefi hatov v'ra, even that is done with in the mode of tov v'ra. Hu sibuv v'gilgul. This is the should I say it? The machinery, the process, shehoilech el nekudas hashlemus, that is driven towards the end of perfection. So on one hand, so I'm not sure which is the guiding force here. He's saying that there in the meantime, right? There's a hanhaga of tov v'ra, which is a limitation, right? On the other hand, that limitation, right, that policy of limitation begins with Hashem's perfection. But it also ends in Hashem's perfection, meaning because the whole purpose of limitation is to get to higher perfection. So I'm not so clearly the beginning is Hashem's perfection and the end is Hashem's perfection, which allows us to therefore say that the middle is also technically Hashem's perfection because it's for that purpose, or it stems from that. So, meaning, I don't know which of the two is the thing that transforms the middle into perfection. The beginning of it, or the end of it.
The cause of the effect.
Right, right. You could say it like that. But meaning, again, just to illustrate, right? So, my son got a bad grade on his test. Okay. As a result, I said, okay, you got a bad grade because you didn't study. Okay, you're gonna lose whatever. Okay, playtime. Okay, you lost playtime. Okay, now again, why do I do that? So that's a negative quality. I'm punishing my son. I'm doing something negative to him, right? but I'm doing it out of my love for him because I want him to learn a lesson. So the source of that action, of that negative action, is my love for him, and it's also in order to bring him towards a better goal. The goal is that in the future he will then be able to get better grades and therefore get more rewards, and right. So that negative action has now been transformed into a positive action. Again, the same question applies. Is it transformed because I'm bringing it towards a positive goal, or is it transformed into positive because it comes from my source of love for him, right? Which one of the two is the key feature that's transforming it? I don't know, but both are at play, right? The source of it is my love, and the end result is his benefit. Similarly over here, right? The Anhoga Tov V'Hara originates from Hashem's perfection, right? And it ends in the greater benefit of mankind, so that they will be able to, earn their reward, right? So therefore, the source of the Hanhogas HaMishpat still begins and ends with Shleimus. Okay. So v'zeh, again, I'm just reading again. V'zeh ki al kol ponim mekar hakol hu hashleimus. The source of it all is hashleimus. That's the beginning. V'afilu mashenase atov v'ara. Even that is done through the act good and evil. Hu sibuv, and it continues. That sibuv v'gilgul shehoylech el nekudas hashleimus, because it's all strategies just to get to the nekuda of shleimus. Ela shekol zman helim hayichud. It's just that during the entire time of concealment of yichud, the order has to function according to this order. So therefore, it is from the shleimus itself that these actions derive. Since according to the will and the wisdom of above, these things need to come out. Again, from the source of shleimus atzmai, calls man helam hayichud, the entire time of the yichud. V'soif kol soif, pri pe'ula hashleimus yiyah, hichzir kol hanhagay lov legamri. And in the end, again, it comes back to this end. Again, this was the beginning, now it comes back to the end. In the end, the outcome of all of these actions will be the complete return to him. Okay? So, again, I'm not sure what he's driving at. Let's see. This is like a third aspect. Okay? This is like a third aspect. Lehavchin, okay, let's read this carefully. Lehavchin, to identify b'chol midah mimidois of his barach, in every midah of Hashem's midos. Right? V'hi hemshech toldos hamida hi mekoyach peulas hashleimus atzmai. That how it originates, that the outcome of this midah originates from Hashem's perfection itself. Okay? So again, the inyan shlishi is to be able to identify, to be able to connect the midas hamishpat, I guess, to the perfection. So I'm not sure why this is in Inyan Shlishi. This is what to me, because he mentioned this to us before, that when our eyes will be open, we will see the hidden agenda behind every action. Now he's saying maybe something different. He's saying that even in the revealed agenda, we need to be able to see how that revealed agenda connects to the hidden agenda. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Right? So
yeah. Because something may be obvious, but until you point it out where to look, you don't see it.
no, I think he's saying something else. He's saying, again, getting back to my marshal. Let's say my marshal, and you tell me if you agree with me. So again, I have $100 billion Yerusha that I want to give to my Shlomo son, right? So I sent him for a simple package delivery, right? So the hidden agenda is I just want to give him the $100 billion, right? The revealed agenda is I gave him a mission to accomplish, okay? And if he doesn't accomplish it, he's going to get punished for it. But why did I pick that particular mission? Why did I pick, of all the missions that I could have picked, why did I pick that particular mission? Because for some reason, that particular mission is able to connect to the hidden agenda that I'm trying to accomplish, right? Mm-hmm. So the third thing then seems to be is the revealed part. It's the connection between the revealed to the hidden, not just the revelation of the hidden behind the revealed, but the connection between the revealed and the hidden. Okay? Those are two different things. There is the revelation behind the revealed. The revelation is, I wanted him to get this Yerusha, and the whole purpose was just him to get a Yerusha. That's the hidden agenda, right? But the revealed agenda, I could have maybe picked. The revealed agenda is, I sent them for a mission. But then the question is, why did I pick that? How does that revealed plan specifically connect with my hidden plan? Right? Mm-hmm. That's the bridge between the two ideas, right? The revealed policy, the hidden policy, and the bridge between how the revealed policy fits well with the hidden policy.
So it's the customized package of all the tests and pains that the person is gonna get
right, I
over
guess
the course
something
of his
along
life.
those lines. Right, I'm not still 100% sure, but
no, but that's what you're saying. Like you randomly pick some easy assignment. He didn't do it, so you got.
Right,
Okay. So he's going to learn responsibility, which is going to be good for him. But the responsibility never was in your mind. You just randomly pick one. So there's a connection. That the reason why you pick this one, that's a hidden connection to teach him responsibility that wasn't going to play a role. But meanwhile, he failed your test, but he learned responsibility. It's going to be good for him. So that your random pick, that's a connection. That's a hidden connection. That produce something.
right.
But he could have sent him to get milk, not deliver a letter.
Doesn't matter, but still.
So I think that's what the whole point is.
Yeah,
Right,
but
but
that's hidden connection.
But he's saying-
like,
he's saying
the
good
choice.
point. He's
The
saying
choice
that-
is actually was a hidden. That's a hidden. Why you pick the choice, like a random choice? Like why you pick this one? Because that is the connection. Like then he failed the assignment, but he will learn to be more responsible.
Right. Okay. Again, so they say again he's going to come back to this idea when he talks about the body and the neshama, and over there similarly, there's the neshama, which is the hidden element. There is the body, which is the revealed element, and then there is this, let's call it ruach and nefesh. I don't know what these things are, but some kind of a connective thing that bridges the neshama to the body. Right. So somehow this is a similar setup. Similar setup is the mechanism through which the revealed connects with the concealed.
Just like when we started off with the mishpat, that.
So the mishpat is the revealed.
Right, and it ends up in the ultimate revelation of the goodness of Hashem.
That's the hidden.
Right, and we were discussing what this middle stage is, and that's the third part that we just went over.
Right, I get right. I guess. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So maybe I'm just thinking out loud now. Possibly, maybe most of our actually kind of studying or trying to understand Hashem is actually in this bridge. Is maybe the hidden we won't know until the future. The revealed we kind of understand or we try to understand, but the real depth is to try to connect the two dots, so to speak, to understand where in the revealed lies the hidden.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, we'll have to wait and see. We'll leave that as a possibility. So, again, we're talking about midas. Again, so I'm assuming also there's Kabbalistic stuff involved here, meaning that there are certain midas of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he runs, and our job is to connect which midah is at play, which of the midas is doing what it's doing. Again, if Kabbalistically speaking, again, they'd say, this is the midah of, again, just speaking words that I don't understand. This is the midah of Tiferes. This is the midah of Malchus. I don't know. So by connecting those midas, we appreciate where in Hashem's influence this particular action emanates. So the quote unquote the process of connecting the Gashmias to the Ruchnias becomes this Inyan Shlishi, this third. Maybe. Okay, well, that's just a possibility. Okay, did I finish reading this? I'm not sure if I read this. Again, I'm just going back to that. That's like an intermediary, ben hashlemus, ben amida lefi inyana, and between the mida according to its character, and that aspect is different depending on what that mida is. Because according to its nature, that's how it is being accomplished from perfection. Right? Meaning, I'm again just to keep category simple. If this is a midah of gvura, of judgment, right? That's going to have a different connection to Hashem's perfection than Hashem's chesed rachamim, right? Or whatever, right? So each midah has its own path in the way it connects to Hashem's perfection. And a person has to identify in this intermediary what its nature is, and how it is being accomplished, as we shall explain further. However, there is also for us to know all of this is dependent on His will. All of these don't really exist, and rather Hashem is willing them to exist. He's has complete control without any end. Kihu Omar, this is what He decreed, Vayehi, and it was, Hutziva, He commanded, Vayamoid, and it became. Va'alkein, Koyach Ritzoyne Yisborach, therefore the power of His will, Noida Bekulam, is known in all of them. Okay, not sure what he's trying to say over here. So therefore the power of His will is known in all of them. בכל ענייניהם, בכל חלקיהם ופרטיהם. שכמו שכל הנברואים עצמם הוא לבדו, הם מקיימים בכל תכונותיהם, בכל אשר בהם, שאין להם ולא לשום עניין שבהם מציאוס זולוסו. I'm not sure what he's trying to say over here. I mean, that everything emanates from His will? Okay, I mean, I get it. I mean, Neshama responds, Amar Neshama, Zeh poshet at li ve'en sofek boy.
What about what new just yet?
Right, I'm not sure what he's adding with this, that everything comes from, but he's definitely, let's see, Neshama says, Amar Neshama, Zeh poshet at li ve'en sofek boy. That's simple to me, and I have no doubt about this. But then he responds in Nunches Omar Seichel Afarish Lecha Yoiser Hakdomos Izois. Let me explain to you more what I'm trying to accomplish with this Hagdoma, with this introduction. Tavini inyan omok, and then you will understand a deep thing, a deep matter. V'chein tavini ma'imoram, and as a result, you will also understand the Chazal statement, Hu mekoymai shel olam, Hashem is the place for the world, ve'ein ha'olam mekoymai, but the world is not His place. Okay, so this is a new layer. So we're gonna we'll just make a mental note now that we have to come back and to see if there is greater for us understanding of what does it mean that it comes from the will of Hashem. Okay, hine ein shum davar mukhrach hamitzius ele mitziusoi. So another foundational statement about Hashem's nature is that nothing exists imperatively besides God. Right? God is the only true ultimate existence. Everything else is dependent, and God is the only imperative independence existence. And anything that we find outside of this, so therefore it can only exist as a result of God's will, through His desire, right? So anything else that exists continues to exist as a result of His continued willing it to exist. Right? So again, just going back just to Pasha Pshat, the Psukim, when we say Hu Omar Vayehi, Hu Tziva Vayamoid, right? And I think that's what I see that's what he meant over here. I just didn't understand it until here. But right, what is it? Right, it's poetic repetition. Right, what do we say? We say it in okay, whatever. Hashem said, and it shall be. Hashem commanded, and it should stand. Right? So it sounds like just repetition, poetic repetition, which Torah does sometimes, right? Or a lot of times. Or at least we might think it's repetition, but we find out it's not really repetition. But what Ramchal is saying, it's not repetition. So, Hu Amar Vayehi, Hashem said, and it was, that's the creation. Hu Tziva Vayamoid, He commanded, and it stays, it's ongoing. Hashem is ongoingly willing it to stay, right, to remain. So that's how he learns that phrase, right? Hashem, Hu Amar Vayehi, Hu Tziva Vayamoid. And that's what he's saying over here, right? Since Hashem's existence is the only existence that's imperative, and everything else that exists only out of His will and desire. Therefore, if it continues to exist, it only continues to exist because God continues to will it into existence. Okay? So therefore we say, Shekola Mitzius Hamotzui, so that anything that we find in existence, Tolui B'Ma'amoroi Isbaruch, is Tolu, it's hanging on Hashem's decree. Ki inyan mashamru b'mayim ha'elyonim, just like we said in the Gemara regarding mayim ha'elyonim, the upper waters, right? U'ki ze omru zal ha'oretz al ma'oi medes. What, and this is also similar. The Gemara says, what is the earth standing on? Al ha'amudim, right? They're on pillars, and. I really should look it up. Do they bring the whole?
Bereshis Rabbah and Tanis.
No, the Chagiga.
Yeah.
Do they bring you the full? I mean, it's a list of things that it's standing on, and it's ending up with V'sarei Tluya B'Zeroyo Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the tempest, the storm, is hanging is dependent on the arm of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? Yeah. So, right. So what he's saying is, right, this depends on this, and this depends on this, and this depends on this, and then the end of it all is that it's all totally in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. B'chein omru oid boser v'dam lemata mimasoi. Aval HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So boser v'dam, by a human person, when he carries something, he's below his burden. Aval HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'mayla mimasoi, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu is above his burden. Shenemar u'metachas zrois olam, and from under the arms of the world. So all of these midrashim and gemarasim shilu bezeh ki'ilu hu toimech kol hamitzius b'chol protav. It's a mashal, it's a parable, as if HaKadosh Baruch Hu is supporting all of the mitzius, all of the existence in all of its details. V'hu oimed aleihem milmala, and he stands over everything above. Right? So in other words, again, he creates the possibility of external existence, and he needs to constantly create that possibility, otherwise it would cease to exist. And the general idea here is the thing that I spoke. Since that whatever creation that Hashem created from nothing was not forced by him at all, right? Was not forced on him at all. So therefore it only exists because it relies on Hashem's pure will. But tavini me'od, and understand very much. So it's only Hashem's decree and will that is the place, that allows the place for all that exists. And without that will, there will be no place at all. So therefore, certainly Hashem is kodum vada, in other words, is an eternal from before. But the creation is not eternal. Does that, and this to exclude the heretics that say kivan shehu kodum, since Hashem is eternal, so therefore the world also needs to be eternal. But rather, until Hashem desired and decreed, there was no place for creations to exist. Rather, actually at all, if we're talking about from his perspective, there is no possibility for them at all. It's not like something that's natural according to the nature of a person. There's only a Kodesh Baruch Hu could exist imperatively by absolute, in absoluteness. Again, this is simple. But rather because Hashem wanted, the gozer gzeira zois, and he decreed this gzeira, that there should be beings. Oz yesh lehem mokoim, so then there is place for them. V'loy b'loy zeh, not without this. V'nimtza shekashi gozer b'zeh. So when Hashem decreed this, harei nosen mokom lekol habinyonim shebono acharkach. So therefore, when he decreed for the possibility of things to exist, so everything else that follow rests on this decree of possibility. Of possibility. Okay. Okay, so again, just going back to that thing that he said before. So if it's a little better, it's still not fully grasping it. But what he's saying is that Hakadosh Baruch Hu's Hanhogas HaMishpat, Hanhogas HaShleimus, right, the bridge, everything, all of these things. At the end of the day, they're all constantly being supported by Hashem's willing them this whole program into existence. There is an ongoing, right? So in other words, maybe he's kind of adding a fourth element to this, and the fourth element is that at the end of the day, I mean, we're playing games. We're saying this is Hashem's perfection, this is Hashem's imperfection. Okay, but all at the end of the day, there is all of this is constantly being willed by God into existence. So it's all Hashem's perfection, and end of story. It's Hashem's Ratzon. Period. Done. Okay. Okay. So the Oitavini. It's kind of getting late, but I feel bad ending. So let's just read through it. The Oitavini. And furthermore, understand that even though right now we know that Hashem rejoices all of His creations, and as a matter of fact, they are to His honor. Right? Hashem's honor should be forever, and Hashem should rejoice in His actions. We're not going to say that before these creations existed, we're not going to say that Hashem was lacking in simcha and kavod. Right? That's that. Even though right now we say Hashem rejoices over His creation, so that means before there was no rejoicing over His creation. That's not true. Chas v'shalom. Ela kvar amarnu. We already said ha'odon yisbarach shmoi b'mitziuso yaposhut ein mokem lenivroim emoy klal. Because in Hashem's perfection, true essence, there is really no place for creations at all. Ki einam shaychim b'yinyonei. They have no relationship in His domain. Ela birtzoisei b'hem, but rather it's purely in His desire. So He created the will for them to exist, and He created the will for them to exist in happiness, and for His honor. It's this desire that gives the possibility of existence. So then it's as if we're attributing to Hashem this idea that He's incomplete without these creations, because once He willed them into existence, so then He would be incomplete if His will would not be completed, right? Once He willed them into existence, so then His will needs to come to fruition, so to speak, right? So again, it's His desire that is giving them possibility to exist. And it's considered incomplete if they're not done. Right. So again, it beautifully speaks out over here, and maybe we'll have to delve deeper into this. He says, and then the Machlokas really Maharal and the Rambam on this issue, right? So Rabbeinu Mavayir, I'm just going to read from Rabbi Friedlander over here. Rabbeinu Mavayir kan es habayah she'omdo leo chachamei zal. The Reb Chal is here explaining the problem that our sages have already discussed. The Rambam in Sefer Moreh Nevuchim and Maharal in the end of Pirkei Avos. Okay, and also in Ber HaGoyla. And the question over there is, since we say that everything Hashem created for His honor, as it says, right? Anything that calls my name, it's for my honor that I created him. Then it sounds like that the creation contributes something to Hashem, right? Because it's for His honor. The Hainas HaKavod contributes honor to Him. Fine. So that's it. So Rabbeinu Mavayir, so that's the question, right? And the Maharal and the Rambam have different answers to this question, right? So Rabbeinu Mavayir shirak acharei shirotze v'chidush boro es gilu ritzoynoi. It's only after that Hashem created this desire, shemasei atachtonim heim loy l'kovod, so that He created this desire that the actions of the people are going to give Him honor. But before He willed it into existence, there was no such need. Okay? So in other words, again, like he's saying, once Hashem created this will that this should be, so then the lack of such a will would be dishonorable. But it's only after he willed this will into existence that it becomes an honor to him, because he willed it so. Okay? So therefore, this idea of Hashem willing this into existence, it's as if the idea of creating a place to build a building. It's like the empty space, it's like the foundation, the pit, which is empty until it's filled with the building. And it's not, we're talking about not just the creations, but all of the principles by which Hashem governs the world, and all of the influences that we mentioned, they are according to our level, but not according to his level. They don't have any existence at all without his will and willingness to have creations. So therefore, it's only according to his will, this will, that he innovated them. But they're not forced upon him. Because all of these now are necessary to fulfill this will. And that's enough on this matter. Okay, so I guess we'll stop here. So okay.